I'll let you take it. I'll just take it from here, Remy.
All
right, so I'm going to talk about an article in The Guardian by Oliver Millman, Nina Lakhani, and Manvi Singh. It's called Biden Approves Controversial Willow Oil Drilling Project in Alaska. But before we get to the article, I do want to quote him from the Democratic primary debates in 2020. It was on March 15, 2020.
Joe Biden. Right?
Joe Biden was in the debate, and they asked him about his climate change plans. What's he going to do for the environment? And he said, number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuel industry, no more drilling on federal lands, no more drilling, including offshore, no ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period, ends number one. And that sounds hella bold, but like right after the debate, his campaign kind of came out and was like, we want to clarify that he means banning no new oil and gas permitting on public waters and lands. And why that's important is because there's a shitload of land, public land and waters that's already leased to these companies, which is how, this project can be approved without necessarily breaking that campaign promise. So you always want to be careful about how you look at these sorts of things they say on the trail.
Perception is everything.
Be very smart. Be very focused on how they say things, not just what it sounds like, But
Joe Biden is fun.
So
I don't know, man. I'm just, my bad, not to clear. I'm just thinking, and the way he's been speaking and shit. Like, I think me and him maybe got something in common because he always sounds like he had about 2 shots a time, yo.
That's what it is. He probably meant to throw in that
exactly.
no new, but it's just he was like feeling himself and got into it. He's kind of, he's that way. But let's get into the article. The Biden administration has approved a controversial $8 billion drilling project on Alaska's North Slope, which has drawn fierce opposition from environmentalists and some Alaska Native communities who say it will speed up the climate breakdown and undermine food security. The ConocoPhillips Willow project will be one of the largest of its kind on U.S. soil, involving drilling for oil and gas at 3 sites for multiple decades on the 23 million acre National Petroleum Reserve, which is owned by the federal government and is the largest tract of undisturbed public land in the U.S. So never mind undisturbed, that's done.
Wow.
It will produce an estimated 576 million barrels of oil over 30 years, with a peak of 180,000 barrels of crude oil a day. This extraction, which ConocoPhillips has said may, ironically, involve refreezing the rapidly thawing Arctic permafrost to stabilize their drilling equipment, would create one of the largest carbon bombs on U.S. soil, potentially producing more than twice as many emissions as all renewable energy projects on public lands by 2030 would put combined.
Jesus.
So everything they cut, gone with this one project.
Word. That shit going on.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, so it continues. In all, the project is expected to create about 260 million tons of greenhouse gases over its lifespan, the equivalent of creating about 70 new coal-fired power plants.
God damn.
Well, what the hell are we shutting down coal fire plants for if this is what they're going to do?
Look at how good we're doing shutting those down. We're just going to...
Everything is fucked up everywhere, man. What state is this happening?
Alaska.
Oh, Alaska.
It's untouched, undisturbed land.
Well,
there's native populations.
That's the other part about it, right? So, they're going to destroy the environment in an area that is pristine right now with who knows what's under those frozen, they're just going to pollute the shit out of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Everyone who lives up there, sources of who knows what under that ice. Who gives a shit? We got oil here.
So, and let's talk about the people in that area. The local people, just like this Ohio story, who are going to be screwed over by this potentially. So, just to throw this out there, the article includes angry comments from like environmental groups are pissed off, Native American groups are pissed. Al Gore is quoted in this article, so he pops up for these environmental stories. This is the part about the local communities. I pulled it out because I was like, Jesus. But according to the Native Movement, a grassroots Alaska-based collective, Willow developers have done little research on the impact of the cumulative projects across the Arctic slope of Alaska, the birthing grounds of the 60,000 Teshekpuk Lake caribou herd, which are a historically important food source. Residents of Nuksut, sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, the closest Alaska Native community have spoken out about sick fish, malnourished caribou, and toxic air quality directly caused by existing oil and gas extraction within their homelands. That's what's already there. This giant project hasn't started yet. They just approved it, and they're already experiencing this shit.
Yeah, this is really sad. And you know what's here? Here's what's going to happen. Some of those poor people, in an attempt to protect their homes and their lands, are going to stand there in front of where they want to drill, and they're going to get all sorts of messed up.
Like the water protectors.
Yeah. You know how the protests work, man.
In the Atlanta protests, now everybody's terrorists, just like Aaron Brockovich, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting Aaron Brockovich on the goddamn terror watch list. Believe me, these people who no one is watching and barely anyone gives a shit about, their communities are going to go to hell, man.
Yeah.
And it's just sad that this is the case. And it's even sadder that it happens under Biden, who made the statements he did.
Damn it, Biden.
But like you said, it's all
promises.
a matter of perception.
But yeah, so let me throw this out there too. This was actually originally approved by the Trump administration. So after, this is straight from the article again, after the project was given the green light by the Trump White House, a federal judge reversed that decision because he ruled that an earlier environmental review was flawed. So the first review they did to be like, yeah, we can do this, it won't hurt anyone.
Word.
Yeah, that turned out to be bullshit. And then Biden's Interior Department conducted their own environmental review, and they were like, we're going to scale it back from 5 drilling sites to 3. And they treat that like a real,
they did something big.
We compromised here to make sure we take care of you.
We only kill some of the environment.
Yeah.
Not all of it.
And here's a note from the article. Alongside the Interior Department's February review, officials expressed substantial concerns about even the scaled back plan's impact on wildlife and native communities.
Damn.
Jesus.
So the concerns are there. The concerns are absolutely there. I did want to note, why would they go forward with a project like this? But of course it's money. Alaska's 2 Republican senators and the state's sole congressional representative, a Democrat, had urged the administration to approve the project, which they say would boost the state's economy. Some Alaska Native tribal organizations, including the Inupiat community of the Arctic Slope and the Alaska Federation of Natives, have supported the project for similar reasons. The deal will make it possible for our community to continue our traditions while strengthening the economic foundation of our region for decades to come, according to Nagruk Harkachek, president of the Voice of the Arctic Inupiat group. But environmental groups and tribes, including those in Nuksut, have countered that any jobs and money the project brings in the short term will be negated by the environmental devastation in the long run, which is kind of what we were just talking about.
I mean, here we go.
Let's chase the profits now, and then when the problems come later, let's see how interested everybody is in dealing with the accountability of taking care of everybody that's stuck in the fallout of this garbage.
It's the only interest that goes into that part is who can make money off the cleanup. That's about it. But it's a sad situation because think about it, man. It's kind of common sense to me to think, hey, protect the fucking environment. If you're going to do all that damage, you probably shouldn't drill there. Leave it alone. But, there's a whole bunch of people who agree with the rationale, and let's do it. Let's make the money.
It's like, we need that oil because you saw what happened when, the Russian invasion of Ukraine and these oil issues.
For security.
Now I got a question,
we need our
yo.
own oil,
Is Nuksut, is it one of the tribes?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Or an area. It's definitely like native tongue.
Word. That's a cool one to be in there. Give him a Nuksut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
that's where I'm going.
The other thing about this, though, just to throw this in, that's not the only example of things that are being described as carbon bombs. These projects being approved during the Biden administration.
Damn,
there's another carbon bombs. They call this shit. So there's another story. This is from February 21st by Oliver Milan. That's titled, Biden urged not to approve oil terminals that could create carbon bombs. The federal government has already quietly approved the Seaport oil terminal project, so now we're in the water. A proposed offshore oil platform located 35 miles off the coast of Texas, south of Houston, and will decide whether to allow 3 other nearby oil terminal proposals. Combined, the 4 terminals would expand U.S. oil exports by nearly 7 million barrels every day, handling the capacity of half of all current national oil exports.
Okay.
So there's a lot of moving and shaking with potential carbon bombs over here.
Whoa.
But the export business is going to be beautiful. It'll be lovely while it lasts.
Well, I mean, that kind of takes the air out of my next story.
Carbon the bomb out that motherfucker.
Since we're talking about Biden and what's going on, like you said, they're moving now towards the water. What I wanted to talk about was this historic.
You're listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.